Today's lesson is Shawn Mendes, Finding True Success. Hi, everybody. My name is Roger.
And I'm Helen.
And today we're going to continue talking about Shawn Mendes, the musical sensation from the frozen white north of Canada. And of course, Canada, as Helen said last time, is famous for producing great musicians, okay, like Neil Young and Bachman Turner Overdrive and Rush and bands like that. Boy, Canada just manages to push out new talent all the time.
That's right. But Canadians tend to be low-key. They're not very showy. We Americans get the sense that they don't like to show off a lot. So maybe there's a famous musician or actor and people think they're from the United States, but they're actually Canadian.
Absolutely, just like Gordon Lightfoot. But indeed, Shawn Mendes is the latest of the famous Canadians to become famous all over the world. And last time we introduced you to him, and we mentioned the fact that he began his career by posting covers, which of course are songs by other people, but then he just performs them himself here. And he did that when he was just 14. Eventually, he became really successful. He rocketed to fame, and he became an overnight sensation.
That's right. And now he is focused more on showing his talents as a songwriter because he is famous already for his singing talent, his voice in covering other people's songs. But now he wants people to know that he is also a very talented songwriter, and indeed he is.
And we're going to find that out today, what a great guy he is. So let's find out some more about Shawn Mendes in today's program. Let's look at the first paragraph now. We'll read through it, and then we'll discuss it.
Social media launched Mendes's career, but the fame it brought the singer was a constant source of pressure. The young star's anxiety came to a head last year when he was so afraid of his next album failing that he was physically unable to sing. The more success you have, the more fearful you are of losing it, so you become desperate, he explained.
大家好，第一部分我们看到片语 come to a head， 表示到紧要关头。例如 Things are finally coming to a head between Jim and his boss. Jim 和老板之间的情况终于到了非解决不可的地步。或是Disagreements between the two political parties are finally coming to a head. 两个政党间的分歧终于来到了临界点。另外，补充几个使用 come to 加名词的相关片语。第一 come to a close 表示结束或是进入尾声。举例来说 The students were very excited when the school year came to a close. 学年进入尾声时，学生们都相当兴奋。第二come to an agreement 表示达成决议或协议。我们可以说 Both parties came to an agreement after hours of negotiations. 双方在数小时的谈判协商之后，终于达成了协议。再来，我们看到形容词 desperate 指绝望的或是因迫切或绝望而拼命的铤而走险的，像是 caught in a snowstorm.The hiker's situation became desperate. 这些登山客被暴风雪困住，情况变得危急。或是 Shawn is desperate to get back to the United States in time for his son's birthday. Shawn 非常渴望及时赶回美国帮儿子庆生。另外，在这个字的字尾加上 ly 就成了副词 desperately 指极度的或是拼命的。举例来说Trish desperately wanted to go on holiday with her friends. Trish 非常想和朋友去度假。或是 The man struggled desperately trying to escape. 那名男子拼命挣扎，试图脱困。
So, fame isn't all wonderful as Shawn Mendes has learned. Social media launched Mendes' career, but the fame it brought the singer was a constant source of pressure. So he became famous through social media. Social media launched his career. To launch something means to start a major activity. It could be a career, it could be work or school project, it could be a military attack. It's to start something with full force. So social media started his career with full force, but now that he's famous, he is feeling some pressure from this fame.
Yeah, he's after all pretty young, and now he's got all this pressure. He's got fans all over the world. Everywhere he goes, girls, especially girls, want to get his autograph. So, of course, that's a lot of pressure. So, of course, he feels this pressure, especially if he's from a nice, mellow setting in Canada there. Now everybody is going nuts for him. So, yes, indeed, social media did launch his career, but fame has brought him a lot of pressure. The young star's anxiety came to a head last year when he was so afraid of his next album failing that he was physically unable to sing. So he's got this anxiety. He's worried about his success, and it came to a head, which means it kind of reached a peak. It came to a point where he had to face this. If he didn't face it, and if he didn't solve this problem, there was going to be some real consequences afterwards. So yes, indeed, he had to deal with this problem last year because he was so afraid that his next album would be a total failure.
Right, so his anxiety came to a head. So if something comes to a head, it means it suddenly becomes worse. It becomes so bad that, like Roger said, you have to do something about it, otherwise something bad will happen. So he was enjoying his fame for a while, but then at a certain point he realized that he needs to maintain this fame. So he did something. He came out with a great album, but his second album needs to be just as good, if not better. And that can create a lot of pressure on somebody so young to stay famous and to remain liked by your millions of fans. And this situation was so serious that he actually wasn't able to sing. Not that he didn't want to sing. His mind says, yes, I want to sing, but his body couldn't sing anymore.
Right, if you have some kind of throat infection, well, then you will be physically unable to sing. You'll kind of sound like this. Your voice will be physically unable to sing or even talk there. And this, of course, was a psychological problem here. He was so afraid of failure that he actually was not able to sing. And he has a quote here. He said, "The more success you have, the more fearful you are of losing it, so you become desperate." That's what he explained. So yes, indeed, the more successful you are, the more afraid you are of losing that success, and then you become desperate. And desperate here just means you really need something really badly, or else you're going to go crazy.
Yeah, it also means you're very worried because you don't know what to do in a situation. So in the period of the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of people in America became desperate because they lost their jobs, they had no health insurance, they couldn't pay their rents. They were literally packing their bags and moving into the streets, so they're desperate.
Exactly. They really needed help, and he really needs help here. But hopefully, for the rest of us, he solved that problem and will be able to continue to enjoy his wonderful music. He's got the voice of an angel. Okay, let's move on now to the next part of our lesson. We will listen to it first.
When COVID-19 forced him to take a break, Mendez had time to rest and reflect. Spending time with his girlfriend, Camila Cabello, helped the star figure out what's really important. He used to think success meant hit songs or sold-out concerts, but he now realizes that true happiness lies in human connection. This new attitude influenced the singer's latest album, Wonder, which he worked on during lockdown. His new songs share his emotions and experiences, ranging from the stress of being a celebrity to the joy of falling in love. He hopes that by opening up and being more vulnerable, he can inspire others to do the same.
第二部分我们看到单字 lockdown， 这个字是名词，指地区因紧急情况而封锁。例如 The whole neighborhood went into emergency lockdown after the terrorist attack last night. 整个社区因昨晚的恐怖攻击而被紧急封锁。再来，我们看到名词 celebrity， 有明星或是名人的意思，像是 I wouldn't want to be a celebrity. I value my privacy. 我不想成为名人，我很重视隐私权。或是 The popular TV show made her a rich and famous celebrity. 那个知名的电视节目让她成为有钱又知名的明星。接着，我们看到单字 vulnerable， 这个字是形容词，指脆弱的或是易受影响或是受伤的。例如 The charity raises money to help vulnerable women. 这个慈善机构募款帮助脆弱的女性。或是 Children are often more vulnerable to the lasting effects of traumatic experiences. 孩子通常较容易受到创伤经验带来的持续影响。
So Shawn Mendes was having some problems with dealing with his fame. He was trying to maintain his fame and he didn't really know what his next step would be. And then something happened, COVID-19. When COVID-19 forced him to take a break because he was no longer able to perform, Mendes had time to rest and reflect. Spending time with his girlfriend, Camila Cabello, helped the star figure out what's really important.
Indeed. So, yes, indeed, he had time to take a break, to rest. Of course, lots of people had the chance to take a break during the COVID-19 outbreak. We didn't really feel that so much here in Taiwan because our lives were basically not affected. But in other countries, there, of course, were lockdowns where they had to stay home and they couldn't go out and do their jobs at the office. So, of course, he had time to rest and reflect. Spending time with his girlfriend, Camila Cabello, helped the star figure out what's really important. And he used to think success meant hit songs or sold-out concerts. But he now realizes that true happiness lies in human connection. So, of course, lots of us think of success in terms of how much money we make. And if you are a singer or a rock star, your success is measured in terms of how many hit songs you have and how many great concerts you have and how much money you're making, how famous you are, etc., etc. But again, he reflected and he now realizes that, hey, true happiness isn't about all that money. It lies in human connection. So it lies in, that's where it is.
Right. So a lot of people, before they get famous or rich or have achieved such success, don't realize that true happiness doesn't really lie in these things. Only after they have achieved these things, they realize, I'm still not that happy. So they're looking for happiness in other places. And often they find happiness in friendship and family and human connections and the simple things that anybody can achieve almost. So this new attitude influenced the singer's latest album, Wonder, which he worked on during lockdown.
Lockdown. Now, we have mentioned that word earlier in the lesson. That just means things are locked down, which is a two-word verb phrase. To lock down just means you're not allowed to come out. You're supposed to stay at home. So this is the noun form here, lockdown. And yeah, he had to stay home because, my goodness, COVID-19 was all over the place and we had to stop its spread. So during lockdown, of course, he worked on this album and his new songs share his emotions and experiences, ranging from the stress of being a celebrity to the joy of falling in love. So yes, he was able to reflect on various things. So he's got some new songs here where he's getting emotional and talking about his experiences. And we've got a range of things. The range includes being a celebrity and falling in love.
Yes, these songs are a result of his having reflected on life, on his life carefully and what he wants out of life. And so these songs show a depth that wasn't there before. They're more introspective. He's thinking about important questions, experiences, emotions, and the stress of being a celebrity. Yes, when you're famous, a celebrity is somebody who is famous. It's also stressful because you have to deal with fans and maybe not being famous one day. And also, his new songs talk about the joy of falling in love. And that is one of the oldest and also most beautiful joys, really, of in life that anybody can have.
So, yes, we've got the stress of being a celebrity or a famous person and actually falling in love. And he hopes that by opening up and being more vulnerable, he can inspire others to do the same. If you're vulnerable, that means it's easy to be hurt.
Yes, and sometimes when we admire somebody, whether that person is an actor, an athlete, a musician, we almost consider those people as being superhuman. Like they're not vulnerable, nothing can hurt them because they're famous, they're rich, they have a lot of friends. But actually, stars are vulnerable too. And here, Shawn Mendes is showing his vulnerable side. And with this, he hopes that his fans will be able to relate to him and think, oh, Shawn Mendes is vulnerable too. So, we're all in this together.
Exactly. So, my goodness, he's gotten really deep and profound with his latest new album. Someday he may be as profound and deep as Bob Dylan. Okay, that brings us to the end of the second paragraph. Let's move on now to the third paragraph.
After years of striving for perfection, Mendes seems to have finally let go and found balance in his life. With a fresh outlook and new music to go with it, this young singer is on the road to true success.
最后第三部分，我们看到名词 outlook， 指展望或是前景。我们可以说 Since machines are becoming more capable of replacing human workers, jobs in some industries have an uncertain outlook. 自从机器较有可能取代人工，某些产业的工作前景岌岌可危。另外，除了上面的意思，这个字还可以指总体上的观点或是看法，像是 Teresa's cheerful outlook makes her very easy to get along with. Teresa 态度爽朗，极易与人相处。
So, despite his young age, Shawn Mendes has had quite a trip from rocketing to fame to experiencing lockdown during which he was not able to perform, so he had to stay home and think about life. And that resulted in a very interesting and introspective, profound new album that's also very nice to listen to. So, after years of striving for perfection, Mendes seems to have finally let go and found balance in his life.
So, yes, indeed, of course, if you want to be successful, you need to strive for success. And to strive here as a verb just means you continue to work hard step by step and you don't give up. You work hard. You make all the sacrifices that you need to make. And so here he's been striving to be perfect. But now he's going to let go. Hey, I can't be perfect. I'm just a human being. So he's kind of opened up and he's let himself be vulnerable. And Mendes seems to have finally let go and he's found balance in love and in life and all these wonderful things. And he's got a fresh outlook. So with a fresh outlook and new music to go with it, this young singer is on the road to true success. Now, what's your outlook, Helen?
You mean what is my idea of what my future might look like?
Well, I could ask about your personal outlook, but I'll first ask generally, what does this word outlook mean?
Well, it's basically an idea of what the future is going to look like. So it could be what my personal future is going to look like, or I could also tell you what the outlook is for Taiwan, for the world, for my newly adopted cat. It could be many different.
A new cat, huh?
Yes.
Where'd you get this cat? From a shelter or something?
Yes, and my cat is going to have a very bright future, so my cat's outlook on life is extremely positive right now.
I would definitely agree with that. If I were a cat and I had to be raised by anybody, it would be by you. You're probably going to take really, really good care of that cat. The outlook for that cat is wonderful. So that's your outlook on life. Me, maybe my outlook is a little more bitter and cynical as I've lived for quite a long time, and I've started to realize that people are just very selfish and they only think about themselves. So my outlook is kind of negative. That's just an example. Actually, I'm very optimistic, but I was just giving you an example of different outlooks that people might have on life. But he's got this fresh new outlook. He's in love and he's dealing with the stress of being a celebrity. So we can expect many great things from him in the future.
Yes, and Shawn Mendes, with his new music, he is on the road to true success. So when you are on the road to something, it just means that you are in the process of achieving that thing, of attaining it. You're on the course toward that thing. And Shawn Mendes is on the road to true success. So it goes back to the title. What is the difference between success, normal, ordinary success, and true success? Maybe here, ordinary success is having a lot of number one records and being the headline on tours all the time. But Shawn Mendes found that he wasn't happy that way. So true success is having love in his life, friendship, and knowing what he wants in life, including the simple things.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. It's time now to listen to our Chinese teacher.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们来看今天的文法重点。课文第二部分有一个句子写到 He used to think success meant hit songs or sold out concerts, but he now realizes that true happiness lies in human connection. 好，这边有两个重点。首先是 used to， 我们常常念快一点就是 used to， 它是表达过去经常怎么样，过去一向是怎么样，这就带有现在情况已不再是如此的语义。那么 used to 后面是要接原形动词，像我们可以说 I used to drink coffee every morning， 意思就是说以前我每天早上都会喝咖啡，那么现在就没有这样的习惯了。那如果你是用 be used to 或者是 get used to， 这是表达说习惯于什么，适应于做某事，后面是要接名词或动名词。像刚刚例句如果改成 I'm used to drinking coffee every morning， 这就是说我习惯每天早上喝咖啡。好，另外要补充的重点是 lie in something， 这是表达事情是在于什么，问题出在什么什么。那这个用法常常是在表达可能某个问题啊，某个解决方法，某个原因等等，它是在于什么，存在于什么。像文中写到 True happiness lies in human connection， 表示真正的快乐是在于人与人之间的连结。那也许同学们有听过这样一句话是说 Beauty lies in the eye of the beholder， 字面意思是说美存在于观看者的眼中，那它就像中文说的情人眼里出西施。那这边要特别提醒同学们 lie 这里的用法呢，它的动词三态是 lie lay lane。好，那我们再看到课文第三部分，他写到说经过多年的追求完美 Mendes seems to have finally let go and found balance in his life. Mendes 似乎终于能放下并找到生活中的平衡。好，那这边他用到连缀动词 seem， 我们来学习它的用法。seem 当连缀动词，它表示似乎好像。那么第一个用法我们可以用 seem to 加上原形动词，像 No one seems to know the answer， 就是说似乎没有人知道答案。那文中它是用 seem to have 加上过去分词 PP， 这是表达说似乎已经怎么样了，那用来指说动作啊或是事情已经完成。举例来说 They seem to have settled their differences， 他们似乎已经化解了彼此之间的分歧。好，那么第二个用法是用 seem to be 加上名词或形容词，那么其中的 to be 可以省略不用。例如 She seems friendly， 她似乎蛮友善的。 The book seems to be interesting， 这本书似乎很有趣。那第三个用法呢，我们可以用 It seems that 主词加动词来表达某件事看似怎么样怎么样，那么其中的 it 是当虚主词。举例来说 It seems that Dave is the right person for the job. Dave 似乎是那份工作的最佳人选。好，那么以上是今天的重点整理，我们回顾今天的单字吧。
Launch. Sam helped his brother launch a successful career as a video game designer. Physically. Despite being physically exhausted, Tobias was able to finish the marathon. Desperate. Sean's daughter was so desperate for attention that she couldn't sit still. Celebrity. Many celebrities will be attending the party in Hollywood. Vulnerable. The argument with her husband left Emily feeling particularly vulnerable. Strive. We should all strive to improve ourselves and become the best we can be. Outlook. Bradley and I have very different outlooks on how to live a good life.
Discussion starter starts now.
Okay, here's our discussion starter for today. What part of Mendez's journey inspired you the most?
I found his courage in uploading snippets to Vine particularly inspiring because it takes courage to do that.
Well, I found his willingness to do covers to be very inspiring because a lot of people try to start out at the top by uploading original songs that nobody really cares about. We really want to hear the covers, so that was a smart move on his part, and that's probably why he achieved success so fast. Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Roger.
I'm Helen.
See you next time.